and welcome. You're watching Best of the Bets. My name's Christina Nicolaides and we have our regular guests with me once again. It's Sam Dymond, who is editor of bestofthebets.com and our football expert. And we have our bookie extraordinaire of extraordinaires from Heaven Bet. It is Gareth Walker. And we're back with a belter to start off with. Early kickoff, Tottenham versus Newcastle.
This is a London versus North East clash. Yep. Much like you get on this settee every single week. Price is Tottenham 1.65, the draw's 4.1, and a rejuvenated Newcastle 5.6. Any interest in backing them?
You know, there's been a lot of talk about who's going to replace Dymond and then Moussa Sissoko, very impressive performances in midfield. But I think the key element for Newcastle now to concentrate on is their defence. They've only kept 4 clean sheets this season from 25 games. I think this could be the game where they actually do get another clean sheet, because Tottenham in front of goal recently have looked very laboured indeed.
Tottenham have got a problem in that Jermaine, well, it looks to be a problem. Jermaine Defoe injured last week. Adebayor is back from the African Cup of Nations. Obviously other options, Dempsey, Bale is on fire, and then Holtby, obviously the new signing, who's looked particularly impressive. 2 weeks ago I would have been steaming into Tottenham at 1.65 for this, would have thought absolutely brilliant price, really good, but yeah, Newcastle, definite improvement. Is it going to be sustained improvement? It's difficult to know at this stage. But one bet that I do definitely like for this one is that Sissoko, I mean, he's 21 to score the first goal here, which is a blinding price, because if he plays the same way that he played last week, he could easily find the net first. So yeah, 21 there. Real
What
good
about
price.
Gareth Bale to score the
Gareth
first
Bale,
goal?
5.7 to score the first goal here. I wouldn't put you off that, but at the bigger price, Sissoko.
Yeah.
He is clearly in great form, but I think, you know, when he's pulling these bits of magic out every game, there's only so long that Tottenham can rely on that. And let's face it, the only chance, or the only reason that he really did score that goal last week was because West Brom were down to 10 men and the space was opening up. It's only once in the last 5 games that Tottenham have scored more than 1 goal.
Predictions and Sam.
That's why I'm
going to
go no goal scorer in this game. I just don't think there will be much goal action.
12.9 for no goal scorer. It looks a very big price. The draw at 4.1 interests me.
Okay, I'm going to go. I did say 2-0 when I first came in, but I'll stick with 2-0, but either 1-0 or 2-0, a win for Tottenham.
Okay.
I think for this game.
2-0 win for Tottenham, 6.4.
Well, you've heard what we've had to say on this particular game. It's time to hear from Mike Holden.
Tottenham are rightly favourites for this game, but I think there's some value to be had inside with Newcastle. Not necessarily to win the match, but I do think if you can get with them on the Asian handicap, 3/4 ball, that's probably the way to play. Because I don't think Tottenham will run away with this by any means. I think even if they do win, you're only likely to lose half your stake on that bet. I just think Newcastle are a side to be with at the moment. We're kind of at that stage where the form over the season as a whole is still impacting on the prices, and they're not being judged as the team they are now. So kind of regardless of who they play in the next couple of weeks, they're probably a side to be with.
Right, Gareth, the guru has spoken.
Yeah, I'd better explain what he means there, really. Some fairly technical bet he's looking at there. He's talking about backing Newcastle plus 0.75 on the handicap, on the Asian handicap. Yeah. So that basically means that the bet is that Newcastle will get a 3/4 of a goal head start. The bet actually splits into 2 whenever you're looking at quarters or 3/4 with an Asian handicap. The stakes are split. So half of his bet is on Newcastle getting a half a goal head start. So if the outcome is a Newcastle win or a draw, then that part of the bet wins. His other part of the bet is on Newcastle plus 1. If Tottenham win by 1 goal, then he gets half of his stake refunded. That part of the bet is back because you cannot have a tie in Asian handicaps. It's basically a more sophisticated way of backing, if siding with the outsider. That's why Mike's looking at doing that.
Sophistication is key.
Mike's all about sophistication.
We're going to move on to the next game, Sunderland versus Arsenal.
Another North East versus London clash. Sunderland are 4.6 for this one. The draw's 3.7 and Arsenal are 1.85. You know, Neil's teams historically really fared towards the end of the season. He's just played the same team week in, week out for the entire season. So although I've been very critical of Arsenal as well recently, I think this is a game that Arsenal can go and really dominate and boss. Sunderland have been pretty abject the last 2 games.
They started to falter again. I think it's only 2 wins and 8 in the last in all competitions. So I don't think it will be a great game. I don't think it'll be entertaining. But I think Arsenal will do just enough to get by.
I think Arsenal will have too much class up front. In a way, all season they've looked better going forward, but they're just getting worse and worse at the back. But I don't think Sunderland have got enough bite up front to trouble Arsenal, really. Yeah. A couple of scores, maybe 2-1 to Arsenal is 7.7, 3-1 to Arsenal, 12.7. I'd envisage that sort of outcome.
I think Arsenal are on the short side for me to actually back them on the 90-minute betting. So I would be looking at a score if I wanted to get involved in this game. 2-1, as Gareth says, that's the way I'd go.
Okay. Right, next game we're going to look at is Chelsea versus Wigan.
Chelsea are 1.35, the draw's 5.5, Wigan 9.1. It all seems to be falling apart at the Bridge. It's incredible going on, really.
They haven't got home support, have they? I mean, it's ridiculous at Stamford Bridge.
Well, we've said this for a while. It just must be a really tough atmosphere for the players to play in now, because they know as soon as something goes wrong, the crowd is straight away going to be on the back, not only of the manager, but if Fernando Torres is starting, it could be on his back. It must be really difficult for the other players.
The problem is, and it's not Benitez's fault, he's basically been left with no defensive midfielders. The midfield is all about going forward and scoring goals, but there's absolutely no protection for the defence. And Chelsea, the damning stats reveal that Chelsea have kept 2 clean sheets this year out of 10 games. One of those was the game in Swansea when they had to win. So the clean sheet there was of no use to them.
I don't think John Obi Mikel's the answer.
Tried Luiz there.
Rafa Benitez has tried Luiz there, but he's been injured.
At the back, so.
I think that's a great point, and I think it's something that will mean we'll see both teams score this weekend. I think Chelsea will just about nick it for me. Again, I couldn't be backing them on the 90-minute betting. I'd have to look elsewhere. I think Wigan have struggled recently with midfielders bursting into the box very late. We saw that with Morgan Schneiderlin's goal for Southampton. I'll go with Ramirez to score first, I think.
Ramirez is 15. I actually like Wigan for this game. They've only won 1 in 12 Premier League games, which is a stat that keeps on coming back to me. But they've only lost 1 in 7 in all competitions. So they're playing decent, they're scoring plenty. This could be the game that they thrive in. They went to White Hart Lane earlier in the season and won. Mm-hmm. They went to the Emirates last season and won. So it's almost like I'm expecting Wigan at some stage to pull off a shock in a game like this, and at 9.1, that's big enough, bearing in mind all of Chelsea's recent problems to draw them.
And of course, Aruna Kone should be back in the team after he was at the African Nations, so that's a bit of added firepower that they've missed.
Yeah, I like Wigan for this one.
Okay. Swansea versus QPR, so relegation fight.
1.85 for Swansea, the draw's 3.6, and QPR are 4.8. I guess QPR will be glad to play Swansea now. Swansea's eyes seem to have gone off the ball a bit.
It's a good time to play them. Obviously, the Capital One Cup final is only 2 weeks away now. But QPR, they didn't listen to my advice last week. I said 0-0 draws won't keep them up. But I think more worryingly is the Loic Remy groin injury. Yeah. We know he'll definitely miss this game. So, again, I think let's look at the fact this is going to be very low scoring.
3 goalless draws in 7 games, and then you look at QPR, 12 games under Harry, they've scored 8 in that time, they've had 4 goalless draws in that time. They've become very tough to get past at the back.
They've conceded 1 goal in 500 minutes of football now.
Which is great for them, but it all points to there being not many goals in this one, and 0-0 here is available at 10. I think that's an absolutely fantastic bet.
That's huge.
Because, I mean, where are the goals going to come from in this one? Few other ways of playing the low scoring. You could go for both teams not to score, so if one or both teams keep a clean sheet, you're a winner. That's 1.9. On the goal crazy market, for there to be 0 or 1 goals in the match, that's 3.05. Or under 2 goals in the match is 2.35. If there are exactly 2 goals, you get your money back with that bet. So if there's 0 or 1, you're getting an odds against winner, and if there's 2, money back. So that's a fairly attractive option as well.
OK, we're going to move on to Norwich versus Fulham. Norwich, winless in 8 games, have not won in the league this year.
Norwich, you just have to keep on asking what's happened to them. They had that real poor start, and then they looked good, had the great unbeaten run, and then since then it's all
I think what's very interesting with those runs is they've now are on a run again where they haven't won. And 6 of the teams that they failed to beat recently made up the 7 teams that they didn't beat in their opening games of the season. The 7th team will be Fulham on Saturday. So it'll be very interesting if Fulham go there and get a result. And they've got a very good record at Carrow Road and against Norwich in general. I think it's 9 wins and 2 draws in the last 11. And Fulham have looked more impressive of late against Manchester United and against West Ham. So they'll go there with a certain degree of confidence. And believe it or not, they've actually looked more threatening without Dimitar Berbatov in the team against Manchester United, I thought. There's a lot more running from elsewhere, a lot more players willing to take responsibility, not relying on Berbatov to do something. So it's not often I do this, but I think Fulham can go there and win.
Fulham are 3.3 to win the game. Norwich 2.2 with home advantage, and the draw's 3.5. I'd be looking for maybe 1 each in this. Spoil shared. Norwich have only scored 2 in 5 Premier League games in 2013, but if Fulham score early, then that will encourage Norwich to have to be a bit more open and go for it a bit more. It's one of these issues with Norwich is they like to sort of sit back and sort of almost see what happens in the game, which hopefully won't happen. I can see a better game here, and 1 each on a shed at the end.
I'm going to go 2-1. Fulham to nick it.
2-1 to Fulham is 9.7.
We're going to move on to Stoke versus Reading. Reading got Manager of the Month and Player of the Month for January. The
Manager of the Month got an award for not playing the Player of the Month. That's fantastic.
Super sub.
It's old Super Sub Le Fondre.
The Player of the Month won it with probably outplaying a full game in total, I imagine.
Well, he deserves it. He's had a fantastic month, and it's been a real encouraging story to follow, really. Reading's revival. For this game, Stoke are 1.85, the draw's 3.6, and Reading are 4.6.
Winning breeds winning, and it's now 6 wins and 8 for Reading in all competitions.
Yeah.
What's to say they can't go and do it again at Stoke? Because Stoke of late have looked, well, less than impressive, really. Yeah,
Stoke have laboured. They're an odd one. They were so solid defensively the first half of the season, and yet they're just not. There's something missing there. But they've got a really sort of massive squad. You sort of forget some of the players that they've got that aren't getting anywhere near a game at the moment. I saw a very interesting stat in the week that no player under 24 has played for them at any stage this season. So I don't know whether some of these older players are tiring. Yeah, Reading.
It's one win in the last 10 league games for Stoke, and again they'll draw games. They'll always draw games. They'll always be tough to beat. Perhaps more of a concern is the fact that they haven't kept a clean sheet in 7 games, and that's usually kind of what their defence is held in high regard for. So I like the price of Reading here, going to surprise them and continue in their assault, really.
Reading at 4.6, and the Super Sub Le Fondre. 7.5 to score the first goal. He's also 7.5 to score the last goal, which would definitely be the way you'd want to play Le Fondre. Super sub, I assume he'll stay on the bench and come on, and he has such an impact near the end. I thought it was Quids in last week. Reading have scored near the end of the game. Brilliant. And it wasn't him. It was astonishing.
OK, so we're moving on to our final fixture for Saturday, the late kick-off, Southampton versus Manchester City. Pochettino really wants his first win.
5.8 to win this one. The draw's 4.1, and Manchester City are 1.6.
I think they're still very much in a relegation battle. They've drawn 6 of the last 8 games, and very feasibly could have drawn all 8 if it wasn't for some Jay Rodriguez theatrics at Aston Villa and a bit of misfortune at Manchester United. So they're not only drawing games where they're expected to get turned over, they're also probably drawing the games that they should win as well. I'm not really going to look beyond this run of draws that Southampton are on. Man City have also drawn the last 2.
I like Southampton at 5.8 here. I genuinely believe Southampton could finish top half. I think they're a great side, lots of potential there. I think City had several weaknesses against Liverpool. Dzeko and Aguero just didn't seem to be bothered pressing as the manager wanted. Yeah. Midfield sitting deep. I think Torre will be an improvement when he comes back on Garcia. But at the prices, Southampton are big enough to get me involved there. And maybe a correct score, 2-1 is 13 or 2-0 at 20.
Best bet for Saturday? Gareth.
There's a couple of big prices to choose between, but I'm going to go for Southampton to beat Manchester City at 5.8 as my best bet.
I will go for Fulham at Norwich.
OK. And
3.3, that is.
I'm going to go for Tottenham to beat Newcastle.
1.65.
Sam, promotion.
Yes, if you come to Best of the Bets this weekend and follow our links through to Heaven Bet and open a new account with them, place your first bet. If it's a loser, we will refund your stake up to a total of €50. And I believe that they'll still be eligible for other Heaven Bet bonus offers.
Yeah, still got the welcome bonus that people will be entitled to, up to €250 welcome bonus. So it's a very generous offer from Sam.
Remember, for you to place your bets, it's www.heavenbet.com. You can find us on Twitter and do tweet us at Best of the Bets. And you can watch this show back on www.bestofthebets.com. Join us after the break when we look at Sunday's action and the European Games. Get in, you Barca beauty! It's another sensational Heaven Bet money-back offer. If Barcelona win the Champions League, Heaven Bet will refund losing outright bets on every other team. Check out Heaven Bet today to take advantage of this incredible offer. Adios.